Okay, welcome back, podcast community. My name is Cam King, and this is Three Questions Podcast. So, Three Questions Podcast was primarily born out of my coaching and mentoring website, which is ckcollective.co. I've been doing that for the past 4 or 5 years, and it's not so much a life coaching service so much as when COVID happened, what I ended up doing was I applied to hundreds of businesses. I was previously a global new business director for a big advertising agency, and I got laid off like so many others. And I applied to a couple hundred jobs, didn't get one interview for a whole month. And I remember I was like, you know what? I'm better than this. I'm trying to fit myself into small sales positions, whatever else. I said, I think I could build a business around this and teach other people how to do this more efficiently. So I started CK Collective back in 2020, and it's been a couple years coming up. Now it's 2025. Damn, yeah. So 5 years. There's been a few gaps in the arena, we'll say, of just times where I've been away, haven't been able to work on stuff, but that is a topic for another day. Three Questions podcast primarily came out of my first podcast, which was called the Intersection Podcast. And the Intersection Podcast was all about personal and professional development, right? The secrets and the tools that others were using or had been through to allow them to learn the lessons. And those are really distilled in like a long content form, in a long content format. Uh, Eventually, I stopped doing that, and I said, I think I can do a quicker, hard-hitting episode, and thus Three Questions Podcast was born. I actually just took a 6-month hiatus off of podcasting simply because I felt my creativity was stifled. I was overburdened with a few other projects that were taking my attention. And now I'm at the culmination of all of that, where that the hardest stuff is sort of behind me. So I have more time for the podcast. I'm going to try to do 1 to 2 episodes a week. These will mostly be informal. I would love to get more guests back on the podcast as well, so we can get some things going and really get more expertise. I know you're not just here just to hear me talk. I do that enough on my TikTok content and on Instagram. So I want to get subject matter experts here to give their secrets about what's made them successful. So if you're a business owner, entrepreneur, you just want to come on and answer some good questions, please reach out to me. So without further ado, Three Questions Podcast. You guys know the format. It is 3 questions each. You get 5 minutes to answer one question. I'll do my best not to cycle through. Sometimes if I end a question early, it's simply because I have nothing else to talk about or really don't have any thoughts. So I try to keep myself in that timeline. I would like guests to sort of keep on that timeline because you're here to learn, to grow, to adapt. So I wrote these 3 questions down because these were 3 questions that I got from clients this week, where I was teaching them one-on-one coaching, mentoring, teaching them neuroscience, teaching them about anatomy, physiology, emotions, energy. I love teaching that stuff. So these questions were good, and I'll hop into question number 1. So question number 1, how do I not be a victim? I tell a lot of people, I think when you are a victim, you are giving away all of your energy. It is like a cup without a bottom. And when you choose to be a victim, we've all been there. Stuff happens to us and we feel bad for ourselves. You feel sorry. And I call it the Jennifer Aniston method. So whenever I am feeling like a victim, I do not give myself any more than 24 hours to feel like a victim. Anything else other than that, I'm starting to burden other people. I'm losing momentum. And if I experience this more than, I don't know, once a month, maybe this is happening once a week, I say, okay, there's a larger issue here at play. And that is really, really when I start to buckle down and journal so that I can get to the bottom of that. So how do you not be a victim? It's the same triumvirate that it's always been. You need to meditate. You need to journal. You need to spend time alone. You need to look in the mirror and go, what the hell is going on? What am I doing? Why am I doing this? Who is doing this to me? Is it my fault? And did I welcome this? And then you have to develop a plan. You cull anxiety with action. And a lot of clients I spoke to this week, they're all experiencing various levels of anxiety in different situations. I get it. The human experience is rough. But when you decide to act on something, that is when you stop being a victim. I was about to go to bed. It's 8:45 on a Tuesday night. And I was like, damn, it's been a long day. And I stretched for like 10 minutes. And then I looked at my bed and I was like, I think I got like 2 more hours of work in me. If I can just get a podcast or two out, if I can get a couple other things done on my to-do list, I can wake up tomorrow, have more clear space for creativity. I love that, right? Mel Robbins calls it the 5 second method, where you give yourself 5 seconds to count down and then you better act within those 5 seconds or else whatever, right? You're going to lose that momentum. You're going to lose that creative spark. So, how do you not be a victim? It's deciding to act. Even before that, right? I would say it's recognizing that you are falling into a victim mentality. If everything is always somebody else's fault and you constantly have people that are leaving your life or not engaging with you, you might be doing something that's pushing people away. And you being a victim too much, too often, definitely pushes people away. I've made that mistake before. I'm sure a lot of people have, but you cannot survive in a victim state, and it does not behoove you to continue to play the victim. You can hold no power. You can't hold an attachment. You can barely hold a job, right? Everything is everyone else's fault all the time. It's exhausting for other people to be around you. So if you are a victim or you are going through something, recognize that, but try and give yourself 24 hours max to feel sorry for yourself. Jennifer Aniston method is you recognize you're being a victim. When Brad Pitt broke up with her, she said this on some news segment and it's stuck with me for 2 decades now, I think. Probably over that. But she basically said, "Oh, when something bad happens to me, I give myself 24 hours to cry, eat all the ice cream, eat all the pizza, do all the things, and then I never talk about it again. Then I'm over it." So I would usher you to do that. Start using the Jennifer Aniston method. Give yourself 24 hours to feel sorry for yourself. And if you're experiencing this more often, time to take a look in the mirror, my friend. There is something larger at play. You are doing something that is repeatedly causing you to feel like a victim. It could be another person, it could be an abusive relationship or a toxic relationship. I don't know that. I'm just talking, how do I, in my own personal life, as an individual with no serious attachments right now, how do I not feel sorry for myself? And it is deciding to act. It's recognizing that I'm kind of being a little bit of a bitch here, being a little bit of a victim, and then saying, you know what, dude, fuck it. Get on the mic, get on the podcast. I know it's been a while. You're probably a little rusty. It's okay. You're gonna do fine. Just stay consistent. So my advice there, action every time. Action beats anxiety every single time. Okay. Question number two, Three Questions Podcast, episode number 79. Does discipline matter? So I answer this question a lot. And as much as I love all of the disciplined guys, Tim Kennedy, Jocko, Andy Frisella, all these great, great podcast people and just people on the internet, Chris Williamson, these guys are so good when they talk about discipline and all of this other stuff. I will usher in with this. I'll say that your routines and your habits are better than discipline and motivation. I think discipline and motivation are fleeting and they're nice words to talk about in leadership seminars where they charge you $10,000 for a weekend seminar. But I think that your routines and your habits will outbeat everything else that you have. I think motivation is fleeting. I don't think it's necessary for you to do anything. It's nice when you have it, but even if you don't have it, you should still you can generate your own motivation by choosing to act. The simple act of you acting on anything, making a decision, getting up, putting your shoes on, going for a run, taking those first couple steps, the motivation always comes in 2 minutes after that run begins, doesn't it? The motivation always kicks in 2 minutes after you press record on your podcast. We don't get these opportunities to do these things that often. So all you have is every single day. All you have is every single moment. And when you choose to act in the those little things, those continuous acts of choice, we'll say, is what allows you to generate that quote unquote discipline and that quote unquote motivation. But over time, the things that you choose to consistently do, those become your routines. They become second nature. And then eventually, all of those small choices of acts, we'll say, or acts of choices, whatever it is, I don't know, it's getting late. Whenever you choose to do something consistently over time, that builds a routine and that builds a habit. So your routines and your habits, in my personal opinion, always outweigh your discipline and motivation. You shouldn't need discipline and motivation. It should boil down to what are your routines. And if you show me your routines, you get up, you meditate for 30 minutes every single day at 4:30, and then you pray, and then you journal for another 20 minutes, and then you read a book for 10 minutes, and then you walk your dog for 45 minutes while listening to your own affirmations. You do that 365 days a year, or you've done that for the past 4 or 5 years, you're probably going to become a little bit different of a person, right? Now, have I done all of those things every single day, every single morning to no avail and not missing a day despite the weather? No. But I had a pretty bulletproof routine that I've been nailing as best as I can for the past 4 or 5 years. Again, I'm a human being, I'm not perfect, but that is what has allowed me massive growth and change here. So, would I say that I'm a very disciplined and motivated person? No, but I think that I have really excellent routines and habits, and I think that that has allowed me to build a level of success here that I'm pleased with, right? That I'm happy about. But I wouldn't boil that down to discipline and motivation. So you don't need discipline, you don't need motivation. Stop trying to use those words to generate your own discipline and motivation. Look at your routines, look at the things that you consistently do. Are those the things that move your life, your business, your relationships forward? Yes or no? It's a simple, simple, easy. If not, find better routines. Build a better routine. You don't need discipline. You don't need motivation for that. I feel like I have that conversation a lot, but hopefully that explains it to you. I think enough said on that front. Ooh, last question. This is a good one. So, how do I know when I should take a break? This is really tough, and I actually don't know because I am terrible at taking breaks. I'm Irish and Italian, and I will work myself to death if you let me. The reason why I have two German Shepherds is because they tell me when they need to take a break. They tell me when they want to go do something. They are the best prompters in my life. And so they run the show. I really do it for them. Sadie is my 8-year-old German Shepherd, and Charlie is my 8-month-old German Shepherd, and they tell me when to take a break. But I will say my life has taught me a number of different lessons, mostly being that the universe will force you to take a break if you are not taking one yourself. There was one time back in 2018, I was a skydive instructor at Skydive New England. I was working in advertising in Boston and I was working very hard. And I was also an entrepreneur on the side, right? I had my CrossFit travel company. I was doing a lot of cool stuff. And in between all of those times of me getting up early, working on my business, then working in advertising all day, and then going to jujitsu and CrossFit at night, and then skydiving all weekend, and trying to maintain a relationship and all these friendships and familiar relationships in the summer in Boston when it's the busiest was damn near impossible. So, naturally occurring as the universe does, the universe, I broke my leg. I broke my leg early in the season on a swoop. I was coming down pretty hot and I twisted my ankle and then I rolled it and broke my ankle and my leg. So, me being the stubborn person that I was I went to the hospital and the hospital was like, "Oh, we're all out of paste. You know, the only colors that we have is whatever, something in pink." It was like another girly color, like maybe purple and pink. And I was like, of course. And I was like, just give me the fucking pink cast. I had a full leg pink cast for 8 weeks when I lived in South Boston, working in advertising, and I couldn't drive. I drove a manual stick shift Jeep Wrangler and I couldn't drive. And I was on crutches, crutching around South Boston, crutching myself to the dog store in the middle of like Southie heat Boston with Sadie off leash early in the morning, and then putting it on my goddamn shoulders, and then literally crutching myself back to my apartment, which was it was like a mile each way. So I was crutching for 2 miles. I get super sweaty just so I could get her dog food, still take her out. This is really when she learned to be off leash because she knew I was injured. The point is everything that I had to do up until that point, I painstakingly had to slow down, do it more deliberate, and it was extraordinarily frustrating. My girlfriend that I lived with at the time, she didn't have a car and she was working longer hours than I was, and I had the fortunate ability to work from home. The universe slowed me down on purpose. And it was the most frustrating thing because I'd been going at that speed probably for, the prior 3 or 4 years. And the universe finally threw me a fucking curveball that was like, hey man, you need to figure your shit out. You need to learn how to walk again, number one. You also need to learn how to go without a car and slow down and just everything, right? From going to the bathroom with your leg fully locked out in a straight leg cast to like cooking dinner to cleaning things to taking out the garbage to being on a work computer to folding laundry to doing laundry because I lived in a tiny Southie apartment and I couldn't walk down the stairs, right? So I needed my girlfriend at the time's help to go and do all of my own laundry and fold stuff. Like I couldn't get down and put clothes in a certain drawer. Everything that I had to do was like I totally had to rethink how to do it. And it was infuriating. It was one of the most frustrating points of my life because I had been going so far, so fast, doing so much that the universe was like, boom, flicked me right off and said, hey, man, you need to slow down, right? Why don't you sit this one out? Why don't you sit this summer out? So no more drinking, couldn't do anything because drinking affects your healing ability for your bones. All of these things were going on at this time. And I truly, truly believe, even looking back, that the universe will slow you down on purpose. If you don't slow yourself down, if you don't understand when you should take a break, the universe will force you to take a break. And it is not a pleasurable lesson. That being said, I learned the lesson. I think the universe will give you multiple opportunities to learn the same lesson if you miss it the first time, but it will increase in pain. The things that you will pay for that will increase in pain. It will not make it easy for you. And I experienced enough pain from that lesson that I was like, cool, never again. I'm really going to slow down the amount of things that I put on my plate. Now, a couple years later, I'm still extremely conscious about the amount of things that I allow to go onto my plate. And I think that most people should too. So, hopefully, that was a good anecdote. I really try to focus on lifting up and empowering others instead of just focusing on the things that I need to do all the time because, hey, we're all here to help each other out. So I hope you learned something from Three Questions Podcast, episode number 79. If you have any questions, please shoot me a DM, shoot me a message. Let me know what you guys think. And as always, submit questions or head to ckcollective.co. Listen to the podcast. Please leave a review if you want to like and subscribe, do all that jazz. But I really appreciate you guys and have a great evening. I will see you guys in the next one.